an Iranian woman who is a diehard Trump supporter, and her family, and they're still backing the president even after Trump's ICE goons arrested her and threw her into a detention center, potentially waiting deportation. Cenk, I already know that you have some thoughts here, but let me give you a few details first before we get to you. So Arpineh Masihi is a 39-year-old wife and mother of four US-born children. And she came to the United States when she was just 3 years old. So this is from the BBC. She had a rough patch many years ago in 2008 when she was convicted of burglary and grand theft and was sentenced to 2 years in prison. An immigration judge revoked her green card, which is a common practice. But because she is a Christian Armenian Iranian, the judge allowed her to remain in the country instead of being deported. Arpineh explained how a judge had allowed her to stay in the US because of the situation in Iran, as long as she did not commit any other crimes, and as long as she frequently checked in with immigration officials. Her last check-in was in April. But Trump's ICE does not care about any of that, because unlike so many in ICE detention that have no criminal records, Masihi is actually a convicted felon. So now, Cenk, it is hard to believe that someone could still support Trump after being locked up in one of these containments, but she is standing by her man. What do you think?
Yeah, well, so it's over the top absurd for reasons that we're going to explain. But as a strategy, maybe she's onto something. So I want to explain why that might be the case in a little bit as well. But first, get the absurd details of her bootlicking.
Yeah, absolutely. So Masihi has been locked up in the Adelanto immigration detention facility in the Mojave Desert since her arrest in June. But prior to relocating there, she was housed in a federal building in downtown Los Angeles, where she said they were treated like animals. That's a quote. So Arpineh told the BBC she was held in a freezing, brightly lit room with 28 other women for 3 days. They survived on snacks and 1 bottle of water a day, she says. The women were huddling together for warmth and sleeping on the floor. But despite currently being held in a facility known for its harsh prison-like conditions, she is still holding out hope that the Trump administration will spare her. So here's what she had to say. She said, "He's doing the right thing because lots of these people don't deserve to be here. I will support him until the day I die. He's making America great again." And of course, whenever she says a lot of people don't deserve to be here, she's not talking about the prison that she's in. She's talking about immigrants who don't deserve to be in our country. But she had more to say. She said, "I'm not deportable to any country. I have 4 citizen children. I own a business. I own a property. I own cars. I haven't done anything wrong in so many years." Okay, the delulu, as the kids say, is real though, because that's not gonna stop the Trump administration. A criminal record is a criminal record, right? That's what these Trump supporters want. They want these criminals locked up and deported, and she unfortunately fits that exact definition. So the BBC report notes that in February, a group of Iranian Christians who illegally entered the country were deported, but they were sent to Panama instead of Iran. And she is not the only one who is brainwashed, by the way. Her husband is also an avid Trump supporter. And guess what? You know what? You'll never guess, but he is blaming Joe Biden for all of this. This is what her husband said. He said, "I don't blame Trump, I blame Biden. It's his doing for open borders, but I believe in the system and all the good people will be released and the ones that are bad will be sent back. Trump is not trying to do anything bad. We understand what he's doing. He wants the best for the country." Cenk, I'm just tired of trying to unpack that line of logic, or like maybe I should say that line of illogic, the blaming of Joe Biden for things that this Trump administration is doing now. It feels like clinical is that's the word I'm gonna go with. But until those people see Donald Trump himself arresting people and personally escorting them to these prisons in El Salvador, they're always just gonna assume that he's somehow separate from all of the really actually bad things that his administration is doing in his name. It's like, how dare they?
Yeah, there's layers of insanity here. So first off, of all the people being deported, she has one of the worst cases. You know what she was convicted of? Burglary and grand theft. Those are some serious crimes. So now I'll defend her anyway, like because we're supposed to do the right thing, and so we will. Because hey, if a judge says that she shouldn't be deported back to Iran, then the judge said it. It's over. She shouldn't be in that holding cell. She shouldn't be in detention. She shouldn't be any of that. She shouldn't be deported because the judge already said she shouldn't be deported, and I'm done with it. Okay, now we're on her side, even though we massively disagree with her politically, because we care about doing the right thing and being fair. But this is one of those where it's super hard not to go, ha ha. Like I tell you guys, don't do it, right? But even I want to do it on this one. Because think about it, guys. She's saying the conditions here are terrible. And she thinks everyone else in that cell deserves it, but her. Even though I would wager to guess that she's the most significant criminal in that holding area. Like, I don't know who else is there. Maybe they have some gang members or whatever, right? But grand theft and burglary are no joke. Those are massive crimes. So, but this entitlement complex is unreal with some of these deluded folks. So she's like, oh, I belong here. I have cars. Oh, wow. Oh, do you? Does she not think that anyone else here who's an immigrant has cars? Oh, I have property. In other words, I have a little bit of money, so I should be above you. And my immigration status is irrelevant. The fact that I'm a convicted felon is irrelevant. Nothing's relevant, okay? I am great, and all the other people here are scum. You should send them away, but only keep me. Maybe if you get lucky and we fight hard enough for you, maybe you'll get to stay, right? And you should stay. But it's not because of your attitude, which is like the very worst I have seen. So, and then her delusional. I mean, clinical is a good word for it. That's our opinion, but somebody get him some mental health, man. It's Biden's fault? How could it be Biden's fault? How can Biden be like, oh, he's for open borders and he let all these dirty immigrants that are criminals in, like my wife. And then Trump is kicking them out. And so thank God that Trump is kicking out my wife. I mean, but it's Biden's fault for kicking her out. He's not even trying. Like, it's just, all right, so what is the thing that I mentioned earlier where like maybe it's a decent strategy, okay? So because all of that is mental, right? So the strategy, I don't know that they have one. I don't think they do. I think they're actually that delusional, right? But they're stumbling onto a decent strategy because the only way to get out of any of these impossible, like Kafka-esque, bureaucratic legal nightmares they put you in is to kiss Donald Trump's ass. So if she and her husband are going, oh my God, even if you take my wife away, maybe in his case, particularly if you take my wife away, but anyway, like, oh, we love you no matter what. Come, you know what? I'm so glad you stuffed me into a prison I don't belong in the middle of the Mojave Desert. And I'm suffering there with these other terrible people. Thank God, Donald Trump, you're the greatest. Trump might look at that and go, all right, pretty good. I let that one stay. Because he's not making rational decisions. And like the number one to get some way to get something out of Donald Trump, everybody knows, is his appeal to his ego because he is a thin-skinned little bitch. So like if you criticize him even 1%, he's like, that's it, I don't care. Dude, I saw Photoshop, MS-13, I saw it, right? But if you're an actual criminal, the kind he says that we should deport, but you go, he might be like, oh, I like her. Okay, we keep her. But and maybe pick up her husband and send him to Panama. Because it doesn't matter, we're not following the law anyway.
Yeah, it's so funny because I think you might actually be onto something, and it's just so ridiculous. Like it doesn't make any sense. And while you were talking, I was trying to like piece together her husband's logic. So it starts where Joe Biden let all these immigrants in. So Donald Trump, now he has to respond. He has to lock up all these illegal immigrants, and his wife just happened to get swept up in all of the chaos and all the madness of all of that. But ultimately, Trump didn't have a choice, and it doesn't matter anyway because she's not going to be one of the ones deported. Just the criminals not his wife, but the criminals who don't deserve to be in this country. And what I thought was interesting too was not just her claims that because she has property and because she has cars and because she has a business, she's a working woman. Those are all the reasons why in her head she can't get deported, but also because she has 4 US born children, right? And she says that that should tether her here, even though we've seen that this administration has no problem separating children from their parents, not even grown children, right? We're talking babies. And we also know that this administration is actively trying to get rid of birthright citizenship, which is what her children have. So none of it makes any sense. You have to wonder, is this a question of she's just not completely, totally informed about what Trump is actually trying to do and how that would affect her? Or is it really just some form of delusion where people are so unable to look inward and to be any kind of introspective where they would say, you know what, that's me, that aligns with me, I'm that person. And speaking of like the immigrant community, this is something that I've seen with a lot of immigrants that I know personally. Once they're on this side of the border, once they're in this country, wherever they came from, not just from South America or Central America, but once they're here, they do kind of forget about everybody else back home, and it's strange because it is almost like a virtuous thing that I was able to get here, I deserve to be here, now everybody else no. Right? It's almost like the elitism, the privilege of being here, like that's for me because I'm a good person and because I deserve this, everybody else no. And they, like, it's hard to imagine, but they really do. Like I've seen it personally. They don't have a whole lot of qualms about, closing that gate behind them and just coming here and saying, but I'm not them anymore, I'm this. The thing that they're missing is that they are an immigrant still. They always will be. And unfortunately, people who are members of the Trump administration, they will never see them as fully American because that is how their brains work. So
yeah, last couple of things
good luck
here.
To her.
Yeah, last couple of things. First of all, great point on US citizen kids. Mahmoud Halil has a kid who's a US citizen, and he was arrested and they tried to deport him for criticizing Israel, which is not in any way illegal. She did grand theft. Okay, Abrego Garcia has kids who are US citizens. That doesn't matter at all. These people are totally delusional. They think Daddy Trump's gonna rescue them. But even if he does, even if he ultimately goes, oh, nice job of kissing my ass in the left, the right, and the middle, right? Okay, you're free to go. But he still imprisoned you unjustly for all that time. So like how is that part of Daddy's plan? And then finally, like I used to joke around about, for hardcore MAGA, if Trump came and screwed their wife, they'd thank him. And this guy kind of did. Trump came and screwed his wife and he said thank you. So hashtag Cenk was right. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.